All right, and welcome everyone to another episode of the Senpai Kohai podcast. It's your boys this time. Boys is a plural word, but this time we have more than two. It's Trey, Steven, and we have a guest tonight with us. We have Jarred from the Talk Shonen podcast. Jarred, how's it going?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Good. And Steven?
I'm doing fantastic. Holding down the fort out here in the great South. I'm melting right now. I'm genuinely melting.
It is.
Oof.
It gets warm and then it gets cold, and then it gets warm again, and it won't stop getting warm.
Look, and if anybody has any experience with recording, you don't want any extra sound, so you turn off the AC. And unfortunately, that's not a very friendly thing in the South.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I'm up here in the Northeast, so it's actually quite nice where I am. It's quite incredible actually right now. I just walk outside and I'm like, this is perfect weather. This is the best I can ever think about. It's like 71 degrees all the time. It's great.
My jealousy level is unbelievable. I can still go swimming.
I'm gonna have to deal with snow in a couple months though. So I mean, you don't have to
Touche.
deal with that.
Touche.
Yeah, that's fair. I normally have to plan my day out around how much I want to sweat, and put my back against sweaty things like my car.
Oof.
I don't ever want to do that. It's like I don't want to sweat that much, go through that many shirts. No, thank you. We're not going to go do all these important things today. We're just going to stay at the house.
So
You
enough
don't know
about
what I
Trey's
do.
sweat.
Oh,
And
you
let's
don't
talk
like
some.
that?
I mean, not normally, but whatever on a weekend. Anyways,
Okay.
we're gonna talk a little bit about anime and gaming real quick because it's kind of like our basic bread and butter. Now, we recently recorded an episode, so people are probably gonna know what we're currently playing. But I think it'd be kind of cool to see. Like, you guys talk about a lot of different subject matters. So,
Yeah.
do you play games at all?
Yeah. I haven't played as much recently just because I kind of feel like all of my time has been dedicated to recording. It's either I'm recording, I am editing, or I am finding new people to record with. So there's a lot of stuff with that. But when I do play, I do get. I used to game a lot more, but I'm staring at my PlayStation right now, so it's still in front of me.
So, what kind of genres do you you usually work with?
You're looking at right now. I'd say the most recent things that I was playing. I'm playing Red Dead. Red Dead Online has been something that me and one of my co-hosts Kyle we played since it came out. Like we were beta boys when it came to that. So we've gone through all the crap with that. So play Red Dead. Play Elite Dangerous when I just
Oh,
want to kind
really?
of like just shut down my brain and just go, I'm gonna be a space trucker for a couple of hours and
That's
just take a
amazing.
bunch of stuff across the galaxy. So I'll do that. What was I just playing? I broke down and when they were selling Cyberpunk for $5, I bought
Yeah.
it. So
Yes.
yeah, so I did that. So I had Cyberpunk. So I did what everybody did where I got to the last storyline mission and just went, never going to finish this because it completely ruins after that point.
Yep. Yeah. I think I was just in a Target and they have the PlayStation 4 physical edition on sale for $10.
Oh
I
my
was
goodness.
I was blown away.
Yeah.
Like even with the updates and the fixes, even
Yeah.
with the PlayStation one just cannot catch a break at all.
No. I mean, it's their own fault. I mean, they really should have just gone. This is a next generation title, and
Hmm.
the whole world would not hate them as much as they do currently. So I mean, I can't feel too bad about it.
Yeah, it really should have just like bit the bullet and say, okay, we're sorry guys, we're gonna pull a No Man's Sky here, and we're gonna wait till the next
Yeah.
generation. It might not be perfect, but we're gonna keep adding stuff to it. And we're not gonna charge you for it. It's just gonna keep getting added and get better. Because
Yeah.
I don't know about you, like No Man's Sky was that pie in the sky promise, and a
I was
lot
so
of
pumped about it. Like
oh, me too.
me and Kyle had this dream that we were going to start on different ends of the universe, and we were just going to keep going until we met up and just blow up anything that got in our way. And then the game came out, and we were like, well, we're not going to buy that. We're just going to
Yeah.
wait and see what happens. And we never did.
Yeah.
Never pulled the trigger on it.
I can attest that. So I can't really say I pulled the trigger in the classic sense. I have Xbox Game Pass, and it's on there,
Yeah.
So I was like, now is the time to give it a try, and it's a pretty solid space game. There's a lot of content in there.
I've heard that they've done a lot of really amazing things with it. There's still just not like the little things that I want from a space game, which I mean, honestly, no space game is giving me that right now. Like
Yeah.
I want space legs, like real space legs. I don't give a shit about walking around on the planet. I want to walk around in my ship. I want to have my Han Solo experience of going around, being in the galley, going to a gun. You know, that's what I want to do, and no one wants to give me that.
It's like Sea of Thieves, but with spaceships.
Exactly. I mean, I have a PlayStation, so I unfortunately can't play Sea of Thieves, but I love the idea of it, and I just that's another one. Pirates and space are they go so well together, and they marry each other so nicely.
No,
All
that
right, Trey.
sounds like a really weird thing that no one's really hit on the head to really access. That you guys are giving me fever dreams of things I need to play, and I didn't realize I needed that. Wow.
There's so much great stuff out right now.
There really is. Xbox Game Pass is honestly worth every bit of money I pay for it. The biggest thing is just like I have to make sure I make that time to play. Like I've tried Sea of Thieves at this point. I tried No Man's Sky, and I played through Chris Tales. It was on there. I think there's just like tons of games that are coming out on the Xbox Game Pass like day one that you can just. I think the PC only version is like $14, something like that. Something quite manageable.
I don't know what Phil Spencer's paying you, but I'm gonna double it. I'm gonna double it.
I'm selling everyone.
I was like, is Xbox a sponsor right now, or is we got
Don't
that
I
kind of money rolling in?
Don't I wish?
I don't know where he gets these ads.
So clearly with Talk Shonen, you're an anime fan. Let's truck onto that subject matter. Like, what have you been watching lately? You excited for fall?
I am excited for fall. I've been watching My Hero. Been closing that out, which we talked about on the episode that you were on for our show. So been watching that. I just got into what is it? The Jobless Reincarnation.
Oh yeah, Mushoku Tensei.
Yeah. That one looks really neat with its action scenes.
Surprisingly good. Like I'm not huge on like isekais. Like it's like hit or miss for me. Like I love Digimon. Digimon, huge. Even though people don't count it as one, it's an amazing isekai.
Absolutely.
So
Trey looks offended.
It hurts when you put it that way. I hate isekais, but it hurts when it is an isekai.
Digimon is totally an isekai. It's a bunch of kids taken out of their world and placed into a new one. Isekai. That's what it is. They just didn't get hit by buses. It's the normal way. Which I will say, this one bus. It's the normal.
Absolutely.
It's the normal ticket. It's the normal ticket to another world. A bus.
It's Truck-kun. Truck-kun coming to take you away.
Yeah. So I binged that. I watched it like tentatively at first, going, I'll see what it is. I was looking into it and I was like, it's a harem, and I love waifus as much as the next guy, but a lot of harem animes, they can go kind of overboard, and I'm not huge on overly fan servicey things, but this was done well, and I was like, oh shit, this is really, really good. I enjoy this, and I'm looking forward to more content from it, which is something that for that genre of anime I haven't felt in a long time.
Yeah, I think Trey was mostly offended by isekai whenever he tried to watch So I'm the Eighth Son.
Yeah, that's when it really
where he's like reborn.
I really just hate this. It's all the same to me. I don't understand.
I'm not gonna lie, isekai, there's not a lot to do. It's like, if you think about it, it's if you're going from a world of technology that knows about fantasy, that knows about magic in like a general sense, and then you end up in that world, you're gonna succeed. You're gonna be incredible at it. So it's always gonna be the same formula. It's gonna be loser goes to another world. Once in the other world, they're gonna be amazing. That's gonna make a lot of women, be attracted to them. Rinse and repeat.
Choose your flavor. Choose your flavor. And see, for me, there's two things that happen. You either get that where it's like this whole like kind of like harem thing and like overpowered, or you get a situation in some series where the isekai part of it literally goes away. Like after the first episode, now you're just telling a story in this world, and that to me is kind of kind of pointless, you know?
I mean, if you haven't seen this jobless reincarnation, it does a very good job of keeping you grounded that it is an isekai.
Okay,
And I'll say
good.
that. I don't want to give away too much, but it doesn't ever let go of that fact that this is a man in a place that he doesn't belong.
Okay.
That's
Good
nice.
to hear. Good to hear. I
Yeah.
like that. So so you're looking forward to the second half of that from
Yeah.
for the season. Anything else catch your eye?
I just started Scarlet Nexus.
Oh yeah, that all came out on Funimation, I think.
Yeah, that's
I was pretty excited for that.
I dish out the money to Funimation, and now that they got that whole merger with Crunchyroll, I was like, I have HBO Max, so I was already able to cancel my subscription to Crunchyroll because I'm like, I got it for free, so
Yeah.
why not? And I was like, yay! It's just going to be even more stuff that I will be able to access more easily, less apps, and I'm
Yeah,
fine with
That's
that.
what I want. Yeah, the more or the less, the better.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I want to say the Scarlet Nexus show covered. I want it, not the whole anime because it's got its 2 routes or whatever, but I want to say it covered a good portion of it from what I saw.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not insanely far into it, but so far it is pretty clear that it is going with there is your main male character. It's a shonen. There's always going to be a male protagonist. But your female I can never say the word. Deuteragonist. The second one.
Deuteronomy.
Yeah, that one. She's definitely a good character. Your normal like tsundere kind of feel to her. But yeah, she has her own. It feels like arc, at least where I'm at. I was like, oh hey, look at that. He's not the main character anymore. Now it's on her. It kind of feels like how because I know it was based off of it was the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's based off the game. So I'm like, it does have that whole pick your hero adventure kind of feel.
Yeah, the game actually has 2 routes that the whole story is made up of both routes. So you play as like the male character and then you play as the female character, or vice versa, whichever you choose first. Yep. But yeah, I've heard the anime for that is actually really solid and is well animated.
It is well animated. The effects are really really nice in the fights, so that's always good. I mean, the reason why my show is called Talk Shonen is because shonen is usually predominantly what I watch. It's I'm a child of the 80s and 90s. That's what came over. So absolutely, that is what I fell in love with. I love just mindless. I'm better at punching people in the face than you are, so that's why I'm the main character.
I mean, I got my love of pizza from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What can I say?
Oh, I have as a wedding gift. I was a groomsman for a friend's wedding, and he got us all like custom Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle paintings that are on like this really interesting material. It's like an ink painting, so it has like a little bit of run to it. And all the turtles are done in their color of that ink. It's so nice, so nice.
That's
I love
wicked.
That yeah,
wow,
it's so great.
No,
that's where the Bo staff came from.
Oh yeah, Donatello. I figured you struck me as a Donatello fan. I don't know how.
The glasses is what does it.
That's normally the stereotype. People think I'm a Donatello type too. It's okay.
Yeah, the brainy types, right?
Yeah.
But let me guess with Trey. You're Raphael.
Oh no.
Oh really?
Yeah, he's a Mikey.
I'm a Mikey. I'm a Mikey guy.
That's my second choice. I should have known. You're goofy as fuck.
Oh yeah. So
okay.
What else? I guess that's it. I guess we can go ahead and work our way, since we're talking about shonen, onto the main conversation we have for us, and that's kind of tournament arcs.
Yeah, it's called a good segue right there.
Dang, I do what I can. And so I guess in kind of the issues that come along with them, or I don't know what all there is. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I'm like, yeah, tournament arcs I feel are very polarizing, is because when we were talking about this topic, I know so many people that tournament arcs are their favorite, and then there's some people that are like, can you please stop putting tournament arcs in every single shonen? It's the most boring thing. We know what's gonna happen. so it can be a little bit polarizing because it's the same formula over and over again. And it's always going to be, because that's what a tournament is. A tournament's supposed to be the same kind of things happening, just leading to a different ending every time.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I feel like it all depends on when they were first exposed too. as to how they're going to end up feeling about it, or if they can appreciate a tournament.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people complain about Dragon Ball Z and fight scenes and
Oh,
fighting in there.
I can't complain about that.
Yeah. And I don't know if you look at stuff where it can segue into another story, or if you're just not appreciating it, like the second, I don't know if it's the second one exactly, but in the Boo arc in that tournament,
Okay, yeah.
when everything gets wily towards the end of the tournament and
Yeah.
Majin Vegeta happens,
Yeah.
things kick off. That's when people can appreciate it, kind of like in the Chunin saga, when everything kicks off there in that
Yeah.
tournament arc. People, I guess, can appreciate that a little bit more than just a straight tournament where I want to say like an original Dragon Ball, it's just a straight tourney, I believe.
A real tourney with not a lot of story behind it falls flat. And it's always going to fall flat because it literally is just fight scene after fight scene after fight scene. And the only story you can really throw into that is will your MC and all of his supporting characters be able to measure up? And that's not much of a story. That's what the whole story in general is. So making an arc that's strictly just about can they do it is really boring. And I think that's what a lot of people have an issue with like the Dragon Ball tournaments compared to like the Cell games. Like the Cell games, if you're just going Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z, the Cell games was far superior because you had that background, that story, that depth that really made the tournament more than just let's see who can beat up the other person.
Absolutely. And the stakes, everything was really risk. Not, oh man, I'll get him next time. It's shit. Goku's dead, guys. What's next?
Dragon Ball Z definitely took the tournament to the place that became ubiquitous. God, I apparently love that word this week.
It's a good word.
it's just like when you go back and watch or read Dragon Ball, the tournament is literally there just to progress Goku and Krillin to a point where they. Like, okay, spoilers for a freaking decades old series.
If you haven't seen Dragon Ball, why are you listening to an anime
right?
podcast?
Shame on you.
And that's right. Shame to listeners.
Shame.
The whole point of that tournament was just to show Goku and Krillin's like kind of elevation in power to the point where they end up in a final match versus who turns out to be their master. Yeah. And the only reason
classic scene.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I love because he's kind of got the toupee and everything. That's fantastic. I love how irreverent Dragon Ball was, and Dragon Ball Z still has that at times. It just doesn't have it as much.
Usually, when Roshi's on, that's when you have a little bit of irreverence.
Yeah, I enjoyed Dragon Ball Z's elevation, but I do understand people's kind of reticence with it because if you came into the fandom at this particular moment, there was a lot of tournaments going on in series or tournament-esque things. Like that's a thing that really kind of hits for me. Like a perfect example of a shonen that has tournament-esque experience without being an actual tournament to me is like Fairy Tail. So
I love what's fun. I get so much crap for it. I actually really enjoy Fairy Tail. It could be because it's the first anime I watched with my daughter. Like it's the first one that she grabbed onto. She saw episode 1 to episode 278.
Dang.
And she just turned 10. So you're looking at she was 7 years old watching this with me. So I think that might give my love of it a little bit, a little bit more. That's but nice. I feel that Fairy Tail had some of the best tournament style arcs out there.
I mean, Hiro Mashima has been doing it for a long time. Anyways, if you go back to Rave Master, it was a similar thing. But like, kind of what I'm getting at.
Happy that you mentioned that show.
I love that series.
That was such a good show.
When Plu turned up in Fairy Tail, I was like, yes!
I lost my mind.
I was so pumped. But that series has basically the arcs are basically there's a group of bad guys with all different powers, and then there's a group of good guys with all different powers. They each kind of match up in most scenarios, and so it's very tournament-esque without actually being like set in a ring with rules.
Yeah. Aside from you're looking at the Grand Magic Games, which is
it is.
I still feel like that is probably the best tournament arc that I've ever seen. One, because the escalation of power was incredible in that, and the animation was great, and it was so well done compared to any other one that I've seen.
The behind the scenes storyline going on in that arc as well is really really good. I was not expecting what it was. Have you ever watched or read Fairy Tail at all, Trey?
No. I only I only just look at Fairy Tail, and that's it. I'm like, man, one day I
One
want to
day.
get into you, but I
And
just
it's
haven't.
coming back. It's
It
coming.
is.
You got to get into it now
It
before
is?
the 100-year quest starts up.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
It's
made
gonna
a
be
sequel
a whole
manga.
Another thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
gonna
they-
start turning into One Piece. You got to just hop on now. Got to rip the
Get-
Band-Aid.
Get it before it's too late.
Do it, Lucy. Golly.
I just do it. But there's Rave Master and Fairy Tail kind of fall into that range, but I think also like the big three were out when Dragon Ball Z was really making some differences, and then you got Bleach, then you have Naruto, and you had the Chunin exam, and I see. I go back to even older series because the thing is, I think it really just depends on the presentation of the tournament arc. For me, one of my favorite tournament arcs is Flame of Recca. Yeah, I don't know if either of you have heard of the
I've
series.
heard of it. I haven't actually seen it.
I just had to look up Rave Masters, so I'm gonna look up Flame of Recca too. Give me a minute.
So a quick rundown is Flame of Recca is basically about this guy, Recca, who ends up he's like living in modern Japan, and he's from a family of ninjas, and so he's trying to find a master to serve, and he finds this girl who happens to have connections to other mysterious groups, and they eventually the storyline gets to the point where they're at a tournament of other ninjas to like compete against each other to gain a certain power. Basically the flame that everybody's going after. He uses fire power, like that. His power is fire, of course.
Normal shonen protagonist.
Absolutely.
Power
Backwards hat, all kinds of attitude, not
Hell
serious,
yeah.
makes jokes all the time. I mean, seriously, backwards hat the entire show. This is like late 90s.
It's like Streets of Rage style.
Oh man, it's great, but the art is fantastic. It's I don't know if you've ever seen it. Was it Martian Awakens was the same artist that did that?
Oh, Martian Awakens romance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember that?
I love
that one I haven't seen.
God, that's a wild one. It's cool.
That is the Flame of Recca is the series before that, and they actually have a full-on tournament arc with the different ninjas who have different like powers and elements and stuff like that. But in the behind the scenes, there's these dark ninja organizations are still doing kind of sneaky stuff, and it's really cool. You get to learn about the connections between the different characters, and some of them knew each other when they were younger, and somebody forgot it along the way, but now they're gonna remember, and this is the moment in the middle of the battle. It gives you that energy. It pumps you up. Like it makes you sit on the edge of your seat, like a good horror movie would. You're like I just feel the energy coming off my hands into the scenes. That's when a tournament arc really gets me. But when the characters are just beating on each other and it's more about just trying to show off moves and graphics, and a lot of times in the early 2000s, late 90s, there was a lot of reused animation. I was kind of like, there's not really any stakes here. So like, I hate to admit this, Bleach seems like such a cool concept, but I got really bored of it.
It does get boring. It's just pretty. Like the characters are really pretty models, and that's really it. I don't know. I enjoyed Bleach, but looking back on it, it wasn't that great for me, at least.
I mean, I'm a fan of Bleach, but it's strictly exactly like you said. It comes down to the character models. Yeah. I liked how they looked, and I liked their
bankais,
their bankais and their shikais. Yeah. I just like the things that they can do. The story really, and it was really just Control Z over and over and over again. You're just like, I'm gonna do something, get rid of it. I'm gonna do something, get rid of it. Like it didn't feel like anything had weight, because no matter how powerful everybody got, at the beginning of the next arc, it was like you're nothing. You're nothing. Nothing really matters. Have fun starting at level 1 again.
Absolutely.
Like even the throwaway bad guys are going to give you a problem, which I like. I like seeing the kind of the payoff of the other arcs before it carrying over a little bit. I like seeing the MC and every and all of his friends being able to throw down and actually be taken seriously. And Bleach did a lot of like, oh my god, you're so incredible. Yeah, but you're just you. Yeah, whatever. You guys, we really don't like having you around. We really don't want you to be around. And it got boring by the end of it.
Yeah, no, Super Eye Patch Wolf has a really good video out about Bleach and why it was pretty goofed up in retrospect, and it was a really interesting watch, and I wanted to be mad at him for it, but I was like, you know what, you got a point, I guess. I guess
That's a good video right there. Like if you're like, I want to disagree with you, but I
Yeah.
can't. That's a good argument. Like that's like you really can't ask for more, especially when you're part of like a fandom. When you're like, I really really like something. I want people to poke holes in it. I want people to point out how dumb certain things are because it just shows that, there's other people that also care enough about this as much as I do. And it's nice.
Right.
So I have a quick question
Mhm.
for both of you. So I'll ask Jared first, and then I'm going to ask Trey. And Trey, real quick, I'm going to ask you a quick question. You've watched Yu Hakusho,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Have you watched Hunter x Hunter?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm probably never going to. If it doesn't finish, I'm not going to watch it.
Oh, well,
I can't. I can't
It's
do
so
that.
good. It's so good.
I've heard.
It is
I've
really
heard
good.
it's really good, but
Yeah.
the way I live my life, I can't.
That's the way you live your life. You just
The way I
watch
live
it
my
all the
life, I
time.
can't do that.
Yeah, I mean it is upsetting. Like I'm at the Chimera Ant arc right now of
Mhm.
Hunter x Hunter. So or as I called it for literally years, Hunter x Hunter. I never paid attention to the fact that X's were spaces in their
Yeah.
language.
Yeah, well, in some cases, the naming nature is also to call it a cross.
Yeah.
So there's was it? I actually have a game called Cross Edge, and it's like got the big X in there.
The big X, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like Cross Edge, and it's all very edgy from like the early 2000s. But
Yeah. Edge
so
Lord time.
yeah, absolutely, the darkest of colors are used in it. So Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter, because I'm just gonna call it what I called it too, and I'm not really gonna sweat it.
Yeah, see, you can't feel bad about it. You
Never.
gotta own it.
Yeah, I'm gonna own it. I don't even get. When I was younger, I used to get mad when people called it manga, and now I'm just like, yeah, whatever, it's cool.
Yeah. It's from another country. We can mispronounce things all we want.
Yeah.
Absolutely, they're gonna mess up our names. It's only fair.
Yeah.
It's from,
It's
not
Jahan
even
Smith.
ours. Oh, that's good. Oh
so-
my God.
So to the question,
Mm.
so Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter are made by the same author, and basically are kind of similar stories to a degree. They both feature prominently like tournament arcs in them. As a matter of fact, multiple, if I recall.
Two very good tournament arcs in both of them.
Yeah, would you say one is better than the other? Like if
Yu
you
Yu
had to
Hakusho's
choose
hand
one,
down.
Like, man, he was ready.
Yu Yu Hakusho. Are you
Whoa.
just talking about tournament arc or the show in general?
The tournament arc,
Tournament arc, Yu Yu Hakusho,
Yeah.
hand down. It was so well done.
Yeah. So, is there any details of why you think that the tournaments in Yu Yu Hakusho are superior to Hunter x Hunter?
One, the weight. Screwing up in the tournament arc for Yu Yu Hakusho
Get you killed.
easily meant you were dead. Like you were done. Even throwaway bad guys and were memorable, very memorable.
That's
like
true.
if you look at the Heaven's Arena arc for Hunter x Hunter, you're the bad guys aside from Hisoka, who is my favorite character in Hunter x Hunter, but aside from him, every single character you could care less about. Even
That's
the
true.
little bully characters, they were nothing. But if you look at what's his name from Yu Yu Hakusho, Gene, the guy who I think his name was Gene. He controlled the wind, like the pink hair with the
Scottish, yeah,
with this crazy Scottish brogue.
yeah.
Such an amazing character. He existed to be an interesting fight,
Yeah.
and to this day, I still remember him, and you guys still remember him.
Absolutely.
He's a memorable character that wasn't even meant to be very important. And that was so many characters, especially the big bad at the end of the arc. It was so much more well done and well fleshed out than any of the tournaments in Hunter x Hunter.
I can't speak about Hunter x Hunter, but yeah, a lot of the baddies in Yu Yu Hakusho were neat, and especially when they came back, especially like the red haired guy Gene. You get excited for him, and it's like, oh man, you're back. What are you doing here? Oh dude, and you get excited to see them again because they're all kind of buddy.
It's like a light, like a light turns back on at that point.
Yeah.
Oh, it's him. Yes. Yeah.
All
That kind of
right.
moment. Yeah.
And everyone's all amped up, and everyone's powered up a little bit more, and they can do more tricks. And it's like, come on, man, show me what you got. You're gonna get
It's
the
like
spirit gun.
that was a whole 3 days ago, but I've gotten so much more powerful
Yeah.
in those 3 days.
Look, when it's in manga form, it's a lot more like impactful. Like the time, you don't really have a time frame, but when you're watching anime episodes back to back to back, you're like, I'm pretty sure you were just a weakling like 2 episodes ago, and now you're gonna just tear everybody's butt apart.
Yeah.
So I think the thing for me about Yu Yu Hakusho is it feels a little bit more like the fights were well thought out. Like the ideas were for the fights.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of where Hunter x Hunter, it seems to be more about the overarching storyline, the world of hunters and like all the things they have to do and the different like main characters and how they operate. And whereas like Yu Yu Hakusho is like it was about every one of those characters and the way they fought with the other characters and how they made each other grow. And that's the thing too, is like, villains got to grow in Yu Yu Hakusho at times, and I thought that was really cool. I just love the care that was put into Yu Yu Hakusho, and it's one of the reasons why to me it's timeless. I own all the manga, I own all the Blu-rays, and I'll go back and watch it and / read it a lot. Also, I really kind of this is completely off topic, but I sometimes remember why Yusuke died at the beginning of Yu Yu Hakusho, and then I watch Konosuba, and I'm like, they stole that idea from Yu Yu Hakusho, but it's way funnier.
Yeah, I mean,
dirtied him.
Yu Yu Hakusho is one of those ones where if you talk to someone who has been watching anime for a while and you have completely varying tastes, at the end of the day you could sit there and just be like, well, what do you think about Yu Yu Hakusho? And they'll be like, okay, well, that's a good one. That's like the common ground that most anime fans can fall on. It's like when people will talk about animes and then just be like, well, what do you think about Full Metal Alchemist? And then everyone's just kind of like, you're right. It's a good show. I like that show. Everyone kind of agrees on certain animes.
It's an understood rule. It's a good one.
Yeah,
you don't argue that. It's a good one.
Yeah, Yu Yu Hakusho was always a fascinating find for me when I was younger, because it was early days of the internet, and I discovered Yu Yu Hakusho through a anime fandom web ring. I don't know if you remember those back in the day. Like it'd be at the bottom of the old HTML sites, and they have a little block. It was like a picture of all the Yu Yu Hakusho guys. It's like,
oh man,
like all of our fan sites are in this one Yu Yu Hakusho fan ring. Just hit next to see the next site, and like you could go through people's fan sites. It was really wild,
man.
Wild time to be alive.
I got introduced to them the way that I got introduced to most of my anime, which was Toonami.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's how we were watching it. The whole first arc we would see on Toonami after Dragon Ball Z normal is when Yu Yu Hakusho would show.
It was a great time to be alive.
Oh yeah, that was a better time to be alive.
Yeah,
than this
I don't know
HTML
about
stuff.
that. Like I watched freaking Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z episodes on USA Network at 5:00 in the morning. Jeez. Back in the day. Yeah, like the Sailor Moon was done by DIC. And like Dragon Ball Z only went up to like the first half of the Frieza saga. Like you got right up to like where they're about to fight. They're starting to fight Frieza, and then they're like, anyways, back to the beginning. And that was all you got. It was like the censored version and everything. It's the old days.
Back when blood was just a series of black lines that would just take up the side of a character's body.
They had a dirty spot on their head instead of blood.
Yeah.
And of course the ever iconic Yamcha's death curl. That's always a classic. I remember being like, what the heck just happened? And I was blown away. It took me a while to figure out the character had died. So yeah.
I mean, because it's really it's not apparent when it's censored. But yeah, that was that except for the death curl is so iconic at this point that people that hate anime still know that if they're called Yamcha, it's an insult.
So Trey, let's be honest. What's some other tournament arcs that like you come to mind? And we know we've hit some of the big ones, but you got any under the radar?
Obscure?
Well, right now we're kind of in the middle of one with Shaman King. Not really sure kind of where y'all are with the older one, but I know we're kind of in the middle of a big one here with Shaman King.
The new one, right?
Yes,
the re-release. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I started watching that. I'm like halfway through it.
What do you think of it?
It's not as good as I remember.
Okay.
I think it's because when I watched the original Shaman King, I was younger, so everything seemed cooler. Now it's solid,
mm-hmm.
but I don't find myself. I've had it on my on my Netflix queue since it came out. Like I added it before it came out because I knew it was coming out, and I can't. I have to kind of just be like, what else should I watch? Nothing. Okay, I'm gonna watch another episode of Shaman King. It's
Man,
solid. Like
it's never
it
at
looks
the
cool and it's
front.
done well, but
Yeah.
So one of the big things for me was I remember watching the original show, and it didn't even get to the end of the storyline, and it had like 60 something episodes or something like that. And that's the thing, is this is trying to fit the entire storyline into 52 episodes, and it really feels that way. Like they cut out a lot of the stuff in between.
it's breakneck.
Yeah, I mean, it's back to back to back to back. Like there is no like time to sit down and get to know your characters, do any jokes or anything like the original series. And I think that really does it a disservice. Is it bad? No, it's just faster. You know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. What else you got, Trey? Hit me with some stuff.
I was thinking card games, because really, if you look
I
at
was
that,
hoping someone mentioned Yu-Gi-Oh. I was like, if we get through this whole episode and no one says Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm going to just yell it at the end.
The first, really, the whole first not Battle Island, Duelist Island is pretty much a shonen where they all have to duel each other, and it's I don't know, it's neat to look at it from a different angle, where they're fighting with cards instead. And I mean, stuff like Duel Masters and stuff is okay, and really Beyblade, I don't know, I feel like it's cool, but
it just tried to capitalize on Yu-Gi-Oh's success.
Yeah, that's it. It's just like weird mutant brothers, I guess. I don't know.
You don't like cards? What about tops?
I remember there was we walked in a Dollar General one time, and there was like a disc with the kid from Beyblade on it. And like it was clearly an off-brand product.
Like it's just a sticker slapped on a top.
And they just slapped tie on there, and I was like, "Come on, man!
Do you want to play with your Buzz Blades?"
That's
almost as bad as when they tried to sell me GoBots after Transformers was already out.
That was disrespectful.
It was. I'm upset.
But
Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay, so guys, like I've never watched Yu-Gi-Oh! I read the original. I read the original manga where it wasn't the card game yet. It was like they would take each other on in other like games, and the person would be banished to the Shadow Realm or whatever, which basically killed them.
Like that was like that was dying.
I can't remember if the one I was reading was like censored yet or not, but I know it was like people died. Like you got the gist that this is not a good situation to be in. And I thought that was a really cool concept. I kind of felt like Yugi was like, I'm this sweet, innocent kid, but my alter persona is a terrible, murderous, vengeful spirit. And he was
his coping mechanism was not too nice. No. If you want, I would recommend watching the anime. It's really nice. I think it's Dan Green does a really good job as Yami Yugi, and he's actually in Shaman King. He's the Native American one. And the second I heard him talk, I was like, oh, no, Yami, is that you? And sure enough, it was.
Yeah, because I think doesn't Sam Riegel do Yu-Gi-Oh's voice?
I think so. Yeah. And it's so good. It's a really fun time watching that nonsense.
And also definitely make sure you look out for all the insanely censored things, like where there's lollipops instead of cigarettes, where people are holding empty hands instead of guns. So it's like they're pointing at people and they're like, stop. And you're like, there was a gun in your hand at one point, and now it's your fingers.
Yeah, 4Kids was real active in that one. They wanted that one clean.
I mean, in all fairness, why not? I mean, it sold cards. I remember Yu-Gi-Oh!
Still selling cards.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a big deal. Okay, look, let's be honest. I bought Legacy of the Duelist for my Switch so I could experience all of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Stories and play the card game at the same time. Like Trey and several of our friends are huge Yu-Gi-Oh! People, and so they'll be talking about it. And I'm like, I don't know any of the words you're saying, which is so embarrassing because I played Pokemon, I played Magic, I played the old school Dragon Ball Z one. I don't know if the one where that was more like a minefield game. Like your character traveled around and you turn over a card and react to it. Like that thing was. Trey's looking at me like I'm insane.
I don't know anything about that one. I've seen a couple iterations of the Dragon Ball card game, and I hadn't seen that one.
No, this is an old one. It used to have these purple backgrounds. I remember I spent like all of my allowance on them, and then I could never find anybody to play it with me, so I just did it by myself in a very cringy, sad way. I also lived in a house with a basement at the time, so it didn't make it better.
Steven's
You're
coping
like, I'm going
mechanism.
down to my cave.
And then I got tall enough to hit the pipes. It didn't get better from there either. Like I just became
I'm
a
going to play
horror.
with my cards, Mom.
I just either became a geek stereotype or a horror movie monster where I was like, I'm in my basement, stay out. Like
I feel like we all become that at some point.
It gets there. It gets there, and then you realize I need to go back out. I need to do something else.
I need to experience a newer anime. But Yu-Gi-Oh is something that's still on my backlist, much like One Piece is. I've read a lot of One Piece. I haven't watched a lot of One Piece because the one time I did try, it was for kids, and it you had Sanji with the lollipop, and it just was really, they had the different names, and I remember that was a thing for me with Yu-Gi-Oh as well, as I really wanted to enjoy it, but I couldn't because I had read the actual Japanese names in one form, and then I'd see the show and it'd be like Joey
Wheeler.
Oh my god!
Joey,
Like, that's a
forget
super
about it.
Japanese name.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
the kid from Brooklyn.
Yeah, he's awful.
Did they do an accent? Did they do like a Brooklyn accent?
He's got an awful.
He's like,
accent.
Yogi.
Hey, Yugi,
I gotta go get your cards, Yogi.
No.
Oh
Yeah.
shit, Yugi! Kaiba's got a gun, Yugs.
I gotta go get my sister new eyes.
Jesus Christ. I might have to watch it just for the hilarious.
Yeah.
It's one of the dumbest dubs, but it's
there's probably like some kind of like montage on YouTube or something. But I am interested in the series. The card games still interest me, and it is pretty much a tournament of cards all the time, aren't they?
Whole time, pretty much.
Okay.
There's a goal, and they just beat people to get to the goal. They have to collect stars in the beginning, and then in Battle City, I don't remember what they were getting, but it was just enough to fight Kaiba, and then
where you had the dope ass holographic gauntlet.
Yeah,
that you got to play.
The dual disc.
Yeah, it was so it was completely designed to sell toys. You can tell it was designed to sell toys, but it was still great. It was great watching it. I think actually the censoring of it made it better, because if you think about it, it had this really deep, convoluted storyline of like saving his grandfather and, you know, like trying to like preserve the natural order and stop an evil shadow organization. But then it's they're just playing fucking cards.
They're just playing cards.
They're just playing cards. And the worst thing that happens to you is you go to a dark place for a while until Yugi sets you free. Like that's
go in the
worst
closet.
case scenario.
You go in the closet until Yugi lets
get
you out.
Sucked into an eyeball or something. It's not that bad.
I mean, it sounds like a very anime thing to do. Like like Japanese like mythology has a whole thing with eyes, so that kind of makes sense. They cover that a lot in like yokai lore and stuff like that. But okay, so Yu-Gi-Oh is a solid tournament like series to watch. Writing this shit down.
Surprisingly good tournament. I will say, I do want to bring this up because it's an anime that I actually love, but I think it's a terrible tournament. And it's Seven Deadly Sins.
Ugh.
I love. I mean, I'm not going to talk about the animation because the animation makes me want to put my fist through a brick wall.
Yeah, we know.
But I mean, I love the story. I love the characters. But as a tournament arc, I was like, this is the worst tournament arc I've ever seen in my life. There's no point. There's absolutely no point for this to be happening. You're just wasting my time. Just have her grab the hammer and let's get the hell out of here. I'm like, why are we wasting time with this?
Yeah. So did you watch Seven Deadly Sins? Read it
couldn't.
at all?
I couldn't.
What was it?
It's the way they look, like the way the main girl looks with the bangs and the fact that her eyes are longer than my pinky. Like I couldn't deal with it. And I don't know. It just didn't look neat to me. I don't know.
The original animation studio that was in like the first season and stuff like that, they did do some really good jobs. I mean, the character design is always going to be the character design because even in the manga, it looks.
It's a unique style.
It's a different style. Yeah. But they captured it and they made the action look good. Everything was crisp. But the moment that they went, we need to save all the money. It was like they were like, okay, they went from like a filet mignon budget to like a Kibbles and Bits budget.
And he's
They
not
were like,
kidding.
"Are you cool? Are you cool with dog food?"
Seriously,
Oh,
I will
no.
show you the pictures after we stop recording, and you will just be blown away.
It's
This-
upsetting.
This is not nearly. It's probably worse than the Pain battle animation, like like from Naruto when they're fighting
Yeah.
Pain and they're trying to animate that fast moving thing, but then it just everybody looks really weird.
Is that
It's
not
worse.
a good fight? I
Where
thought
it's
that was
like-
a
it's
really
like bl-
interesting fight.
It stylistically, it was different.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, it's really out of place, but I thought it was like a really fun looking fight. But
Yeah.
if it's ugly, then let me know. I didn't make it. I don't care. But I thought it was.
You're not going to
looked
hurt
pretty
my
neat.
feelings about it.
Yeah,
But no,
I'm not texting Kishimoto right now telling him what y'all are saying.
But yeah, well, in all honesty, like if you still frame a lot of stuff, it looks pretty bizarre. Or even earlier on with like Sasuke when they're in the forest and everything like that. And some of the like when they're trying to animate motion, if you stop it, sometimes it looks really iffy.
And Seven
Even
Deadly Sins
Mappa.
has the worst.
Yes, they do. It's so much worse than anything you can really throw out into the world.
A character turns into a doll at one point, like a baby doll. That's
Yep.
that's the only thing that their body can be described as, a baby doll.
That's so weird. Why would
When he's
Netflix
supposed to
do
be at
that?
his most powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what's the
is
worst
he
part
just
is.
like stiff like T-pose? Like they just can't animate him? Like he's just
Stiff as a board. Stiff as a board, dead like a
Absolutely.
baby doll.
Absolutely,
Uh.
100%. I think the pectoral muscles actually resemble more of like balloons to a certain
Yes.
degree in one
Yeah.
scene. And he's just like he's supposed to be like kind of like laid out on a bed or something like that. And he's just staring into the ether, like not even acting like a character that's actually on like being animated. He's just like
And this is the main character.
the main
Wow.
character.
Main character is that badly animated.
And they changed studios in all fairness. Like the first season was done by one studio, and then I think they switched studios in the second or third season. I can't remember which one. And it's like a clear like we're cutting costs. These people are overworked and underpaid. We're just going to take whatever they turn into us. And they caught hell for it. Like we joke about it, but there was a lot of
I almost couldn't watch.
upsetness. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah,
I
and then on
powered
top
through.
of that, they tried to censor blood in the worst possible way. They thought that instead of showing red blood, what would be better is if they changed the color to white and made it glow.
Oh,
So people would get hit, it would
I've
cut
seen that
away,
movie. All
and
right.
on a black screen, you would see a splash of glowing white. And I'm like, this isn't a shonen anymore.
Oh yeah, it is.
This
Not
this
the
show's
one
going
you
to need
wanted to
tags
watch.
here shortly. Jesus Christ. I remember
Oh
that
my
now.
gosh.
Wow.
Yeah.
What on
Yeah.
earth?
But
Luckily,
yeah.
that only lasted like 3 episodes, and there was almost a riot.
Oh yeah.
and they immediately changed it.
They were like, hold on, guys, we're going to delay an episode or two because apparently if we keep going at the pace we're going with the quality, they're going to murder all of us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they kind
You
of...
don't have to worry about working yourself to death. You're just going to die.
Yeah, people are going to be upset. They're
We'll
already
just put
sending
you
the
out.
letters. Yeah, no, but it was a really bad... There's some pointless story moments in Seven Deadly Sins that felt like it was like trying to lengthen the life of a series that was clearly popular right around the time the guy was trying to wrap up the story. Like, when an author gets like, is like, all right, this is the final arc of my story. And someone's like, hey man, you've really blown up. We need you to extend it for like at least another 6 months. And then random stuff like this happens. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. And it's upsetting that the tournament arc, which, before I really started watching more anime, I kind of looked forward to tournament arcs because I always compared it to like DBZ and I compared it to Yu Yu Hakusho. That was my benchmark. And this was one of the ones where I was like, I'm just not watching tournament arcs anymore. Like, I'll just skip it if this is what I have to expect going forward.
If this is the new culture in tournaments.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, luckily, like, My Hero saved it. Like, My Hero made me go, you know what? Nope, never mind. This is why I liked tournament arcs.
That shit had great character development, great fights, well animated, even had great music.
Had a twist also.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just so wild. I did not expect the end result either. It was just it was really, really good. You still haven't watched that, have you?
No.
Some of the most beautiful animation that I've seen, just period.
I watched
Between
the fight
that
scenes.
and Black Clover, like some of the later fight scenes in Black Clover,
Really?
have
Okay.
some of the most interesting animation that really just makes you go, wow, they're doing something new, and I like it.
Yeah, and it's not just like Mappa or UFO Table. There is definitely
Mhm.
some more studios out there that are newer that are doing great things. So
Yeah.
I like if I had to say anything is do you guys feel like if you binge anime you end up becoming very like bitter or maybe even kind of desensitized and like annoyed by tournament arcs, or do you think it's important to kind of like space it out?
So I was binging Yu Yu Hakusho whenever I was watching it. Like,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and it's only 100 episodes, 120 episodes. It's
Yeah.
not a long anime.
Only.
It's reasonable.
Only. I mean, if you compare it to like Dragon Ball or like, I don't know, shit, My Hero Academia or Food
Yeah.
Wars, I don't know. And so it wasn't too bad. There were like some times where I had to interject something else in between to make sure I was still alive, and just it really wasn't too bad. It didn't affect me. It has to be engaging. I have to see the light at the end of the tunnel throughout the tournament arc.
Mhm.
Like, this is why they're here in this tournament. This isn't just goobers being goobers. They're down here with a purpose, and I
Yeah.
want to make sure they get there. I have to see the spirit sword, the spirit gun, and we need to make sure we get through this. But
Yeah.
I need a purpose for that.
That totally makes sense. I can see that because yeah, now that I mostly binge anime, I can yeah, I usually will turn it off and watch something different, usually completely different. I'll watch something live action at that point once a tournament arc's been going on for a while, cuz I'm like, ah shit, they're still fighting. Like they're still in the ring. Like and if it's more than like 6-7 episodes, it gets so repetitive that you're like, I just can't. So
Yeah.
I think a weekly release, like watching something live as it's dropping, is better for a tournament because you have that whole week to kind of decompress and break down everything that you saw and really think about it. But when you're binging, you're just like, I need to finish. I need to reach the end.
Mhm.
And if it's going to be a lot of the same stuff, you're just like, I need a break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the break system is honestly the best way to handle it, because I found
Mhm.
that most people that are bothered by tournament arcs, there are two things it does. And it's like I binged that show, so I had to watch back to back to back to back of tournament episodes. They repeated footage and dialogue. I got really annoyed by that too. And then I
Mhm.
watched another show that did the same thing. And then I binged another show that did the same thing. Of course you're gonna get like, I don't think that's that doesn't make tournament arcs bad. It just means you
Mhm.
need to ingest your media at a better rate.
Yeah.
And for me, that a lot of times I'll switch into gaming or a completely different genre. I had to be careful because sports is not a genre to switch into because it's a different type of tournament arc going on.
Yeah.
So I'll usually dip into like some slice of life or comedy or something like that. But the other thing that can really, really turn people off of tournament arcs is just pacing.
Mhm.
There are very clearly some tournament arcs that have some fights where they should not last 4 episodes.
Are you talking about like a spirit bomb charge up?
Man, don't even get me started.
Exhibit A.
Look, I hate to admit this. The Spirit Bomb Charge Up episodes were what made me stop watching Dragon Ball Z originally.
Oh no, I
Like,
can totally understand.
I was like, no, I'm good. I'm good.
When people
I
make
got
fun of me for
Trigun.
watching anime, they bring that up. They go,
Yeah.
"Yeah, you know what I want to see is I want to spend 4 episodes watching a guy shout with his hands up in the air as light gathers around him."
Yeah, don't forget to mention that he's shirtless.
Oh yeah,
It's not like that
rippling
anymore.
abs.
Shut up.
And that's the thing is, people who know the stereotypes love to poke at us. I think I just laugh with them now, and it kind of weirds them out. It's fantastic.
You kind of
but
have to. They're always
yeah.
going to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get into your the things you like. We won't go there. But to me, it's the thing is like, those kinds of things the pacing can really shut down a tournament arc or even like a really good fight in a series. It takes the tension out, and I think that's what really sells a tournament arc. Besides character development, is tension. You want that to be there, so you are excited for the next episode. If you don't have that, you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna start reading the book while this is on.
Yeah, where you just miss like a whole 2 fights, and you're like, do I rewind or do I just accept that they won?
Like, the only thing that's gonna matter if I go back and watch it is like I'm gonna rank up in the anime quiz on Quiz Up app. Like I know this obscure fight that no one gave a shit about.
Yeah.
So wow, that's a lot of info about tournament. Oh, I didn't even get to talk about Rama One Half, which is basically the tournament arc, the anime. Because
tournament arc, the anime.
Yes,
Isn't that the one where they turn into animals?
Yeah, they get hit with cold
There's
water.
There's a tournament arc in that?
There's tons of them. Okay, so if you don't know, in Rama One Half, besides everybody turning into an animal or a girl or some other creature whenever they get hit with cold water, they're all martial artists. And he's supposed to be like inheriting this martial arts dojo, and then more martial artists show up in the series. And every time they do a anything goes martial arts version of the activity. So anything goes martial arts, rhythmic gymnastics, ice skating, ramen delivery. I think they do synchronized swimming at one point. I mean, like they just go wild throughout the entire series. Yeah, so it's like sort of this like pseudo romantic comedy, but everybody's just these like terrible, like ill-mannered, like no morals, kind of like anything goes martial arts people, and they do it for everything, and it's fantastic.
Jeez, wow.
Yeah, so
that seems funny.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's not like here's your ring and everything, but like every time they do it, it's a competition. It's a martial arts duel between these two people to win the hand of marriage of this girl, because it's always over a girl or something like that. The main girl characters, and this is an iconic series, and I'm kind of really downplaying how iconic it is because it's Rumiko Takahashi. This is like this was like one of the earliest animes in America. Same thing with the manga. I used to go buy these things at my local comic shop, and it cost me like $25 a volume. Because they used to release it on this really nice paper and binding and everything like that. It was very expensive. But yeah, this series is all just like duels and martial arts and goofiness, and I think that it was a really fun one that I just wanted to make sure people know exists. It's just so fun.
Man, yeah, I never actually heard of that. So that's actually really, it's really I like funny like shows that have like cool action with a lot of really like good comedy. Like I got really into Scissor 7 on Netflix.
Scissor 7's pretty neat. That's a funny
mind.
one. Yeah.
Because I was laughing so hard. I actually told Kyle, my one co-host, because he hates anime. He
yes, he does.
He hates it so much. It's why he refuses because my normal co-host for the episode that I had you on, he wasn't feeling good, so I had Kyle on. And Kyle, the entire time after we got finished recording, he's like, I wanted to chop you in the neck for how much of a dork you are. He's like, why? He's like, I can't stand hearing you talk about this stuff. But
he jumped in and was making jokes. I was trying not to fall out laughing in the middle of that episode.
Yeah, he really hates it, but he's a funny dude, so I let it slide. But I was telling him about it because the only like types of anime that he likes is he loves Shin-chan.
Oh, wow.
And he's a big Shin-chan fan because of just how hilarious it is. And I was like, the beginning of Scissor 7 gives me some like light Shin-chan vibes, which is how weird it is. But then by the end of it, I was like, wow, this is some dope action. This is some serious dope
Scissor 7. Okay, I gotta write this down because I haven't seen this yet.
That one's on Netflix, I think, is where I saw it.
Yeah, they just released the 3rd season. I binged it in a night. Like
it's
I
real
literally
fast
in one day, I just finished the whole season, and then luckily at the end it said "coming soon" the movie. And I was like,
wow!
Yay, okay, thank God, because I needed more of it.
What on earth?
So Trey, would you call Tower of God a tournament arc show?
No, I don't think I would.
Why is that?
So it's a competition, but it's not a tournament arc. Because a tournament arc, you get to see people come and flex their stuff, and you get to see, oh, I get to do my shadow jutsu, or this is my, I don't know, my special developed technique from my family passed down to generations. And really, in Tower of God, it's a bunch of people coming and struggling all for one goal, but it's not a tournament setting. Like it's just a free for all, really. That's really a better way to describe it. I don't.
So it'd be more like a battle arc,
instead
of just like a tournament arc.
I guess so. Yeah.
For me, it felt like the beginning of Hunter x Hunter, where like all these people came together to be in the hunter's exam, and they did like kind of group activities to weed down the participants. I'm curious, like, because Tower of God isn't really done yet, so I'm curious if it will fall into a tournament at some point.
So
Like
they
a legitimate tournament.
They kind of do some grouping later on, like apart from the trios that you see in the beginning, where everyone gets split up into groups so you can get to know everyone a little better. But it doesn't. I mean, from the first season, I never really got tournament arc vibes. It was still everyone's still in this for their goal, and they brought it up multiple times. They were still willing to kill anybody and everybody to get to their goal, even if they were on their team. Yikes. And I was like, that's not friendship. That's not. That's not
Power of friendship is actually very important in a tournament arc. I think
absolutely. When they're struggling and they hear Naruto, they look over and then they get a whole lot stronger, and that's pivotal.
Where that split second pauses for you to remember every memory that you have with that person that you're staring at, as the reality warps around you and you spin. And then you can block the punch.
And
absolutely, you can have a multi-chapter flashback about your history with this guy, and then then it's a moment
with ads, and then you can go ahead and block it
with ads. Yeah. Oh my gosh! Is there any other tournaments that you kind of like got down, Trey, that we haven't hit? Honestly,
I brought up a little bit earlier. Is Food Wars is the only one I could think of, but I don't really know if
I've been meaning to watch it. I haven't checked it out. It looks hilarious in its delivery, so which is why I want to see it.
It is. It's fun. I'm like halfway through the second season, but I had to stop because there's only so much you can take with how monotonous the presentation is during the tournament. Because it's the same thing. This is my dish. I used this much of my ingredients. And I mean, it's really cool if you listen to it.
I heard it's a lot like food porn, though.
Yeah.
I heard that it is like
it's like food and it's like porn.
Food / porn.
Yeah, it's like that. It's not food porn. It's food and
So
porn.
this actually brings me to a funny thing I noticed about the manga when I was reading it is so early in the series, like I don't know if you've ever heard of Yakutate Japan. Anybody? Okay, I'm super old. Alrighty. So it was another cooking show, and everybody's reaction to them eating his, like, the main character's bread would make them do certain poses or turn into certain things. Well, they do something similar in this, but it really, in the beginning of the series, it led to a lot of people's clothes coming off, and typically of the female variety. And I remember this coming up in like a couple news stories, and in different forums and on Twitter and things like that. And it felt like at a certain point in the storyline, the author was like, okay, fine, because then from that point on, most of the people disrobed when they ate food were dudes, like chesty dudes that they were like showing off. I just thought it was so freaking hilarious. I was like, he was like, fine, I'll put some dudes in there too. Humph.
I had a moment where I was watching it and my mother-in-law walked in.
Oh my god.
And it was a moment where a girl ate some of the food and it was apparently amazing, and the clothes all flew off, and my mother-in-law was like, what are you watching? And I was like, I don't even know what to tell you right now.
There's no way to salvage that.
Anime. I'm watching anime, and that's really it.
Yeah. You should just go back to the kitchen now, please.
Yeah, you need to leave,
please.
Don't make eye contact with me for the rest of the day.
I can't hear you.
Just la 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 la. Yeah,
but that was really that's the last tournament thing I could think of that I wanted to bring up.
Okay. Do we miss anything that you wanted to bring up, Jared?
No, I mean, we really hit on like a lot of the main ones. I mean, one just popped into my head. God of High School.
Oh man,
that's on my list.
I've heard that's literally just like tournament arc the anime.
It's just a tournament. Like it's like because it's one season. I don't know if they're actually coming out with more, but it's one season, and it's just the fighting of this tournament, and they lean into it hard.
Really? Is the action at least well animated? Like well paced?
Oh yeah, it's so it's I don't even know how to describe it.
It's another webtoon joint.
Yeah, so it's somewhat like cell animation kind of, where it has that shading, but the movement in it is captured gorgeously. The story, still don't know what it's about. I finished it. I don't know what it's about. I know it's
now
about
I want to watch
this tournament. But I can tell you that every single fight scene, I was like, this is incredible. I'm like, this is just. I'm like, they could have no words in this, and it could have been just 5 episodes of one nonstop fight scene, and I would have watched all 5 episodes.
All right. I'm kind of sold right now. Like I know what I'm doing next week.
Yeah,
All
I mean,
right.
don't look for a story.
Uh,
Don't look for that. Just go into it for just brain numbing action, and you will be very happy.
Awesome. That's what
I'll
I
take
like to
that.
hear. Yeah. So I will close this out with saying there is one more genre that technically qualifies as a tournament arc, and honestly, this is a hit or miss genre, and that is sports anime.
Haikyuu, one of my favorite animes.
Haikyuu, fantastic. Hajime no Ippo,
Mm.
Hikaru no Go. Literally, I love Hikaru no Go because a lot of people don't realize it's the same author and artist of Death Note.
Really?
Yeah, it's the same guys, Takashi Obata, and I forget his name. It makes me sad. Like the same guys that did Bakuman and Death Note did Hikaru no Go, and that is literally just back-to-back tournaments with the board game Go. And you
Yeah.
get into things like Ice Shield 21, also. Which fun fact, like Ice Shield 21 is the original series from the author of Dr. Stone, and
Oh.
yeah, like you'll see if you read the series, there's a character that you'll see, and you're like, oh look, it's Senku. And it like they are a great series, but those are another one of those things where pacing and just interest in the subject material really matter. So like I think that falls in there, but most of what people cover when it comes to tournament arcs is fighting. So I
Yeah.
don't think it really kind
Because
of bleeds over too
I
much.
think when it comes to sports, I think people understand that that's just what it is. Fighting doesn't have to be a tournament. Fighting can be done for strictly for survival. An amazing fighter might not ever fight in a tournament ever in their life, and you
That's
can
true.
make an amazing story about that. But if you're an amazing volleyball player or you're an amazing basketball player, you're gonna play in a tournament at some point in your life. That's just what you're going to do, because
It's
if you're an
imminent.
amazing basketball player that doesn't play any basketball, you're just a guy sitting at home wasting his life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's me, the manga. Well, look forward to the anime, folks. I hope
Coming
I'm voiced.
Q3.
That's right, 2023, baby.
Coming
But
to
yeah,
Cartoon Network.
maybe they'll make an unnecessary sequel like they did with FLCL. Sorry, I gotta throw that shade. I was upset.
Oof. Ouch.
FLCL is my favorite anime, and I was like, this is perfect. You don't need to make more of them, and they made more of them.
It ended
anyways.
perfectly.
Yeah.
I didn't when I saw that they were making a sequel to it, I was like, how?
Yeah, and it ended up being a moot point anyways. I think the only returning character is Haruko. So it might not even be the same Haruko for all you know. Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it. But the pillows were still on the soundtrack, and that kind of, I was like, all right, I'm gonna get this vinyl of the soundtrack, but I don't care about the show.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun making fun of
Definitely.
myself at the end, and I feel like we covered a lot of things there. Like Trey, you got anything to wrap it up here? You're the man with eloquence and motivation.
I want to be moved.
That's right. Move us.
I just want you to know that whenever you step out in that ring, I want you to look at your opponent, and I want you to strap up that headband and put on them gloves, and just beat them, son. Just beat them. And that's about all I got.
Well, it was a great time. It was a great time. So I'll let you do. I'll do the outro, Trey. Oh, actually, hold on. I have a better way. Jared, why don't you tell us all your stuff so that we can let you have that kind of part?
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I mean, if you guys want to find my show, if you want to have one that's similar to this one, I'm going to say check out Talk Shonen anywhere that you get your podcasts. We do have a website. It's actually for my network, not necessarily just Talk Shonen, but that's rumrunnerspodcastnetwork.com. That's RUMRUNNAS. And then podcast network. I'm not going to spell everything. .com. We got Talk Shonen there, and then I also have 2 other shows that I produce, and one other one that I'm on. And all of them are available there. We have Instagram and Twitter. That's at Talk Shonen. And yeah, that's really the thing. Come check us out. It's very similar to you guys, where we just kind of just have a nice conversation between fans. And sometimes we get it right, sometimes we get it wrong, sometimes halfway through we're like, I've been saying the wrong anime this whole time. Crap. But
And
you know,
sometimes-
it's fun.
Sometimes you just end up talking about random other things as well. That's where we fall into the rabbit hole a lot.
Yeah.
And
We
that's the fun of it. That's the whole reason you listen to a podcast, is to see where people end up in the end.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
All right, Trey, you take us out.
It's my turn for the finisher. And so for us, a lot of the same things. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Also, and
Is there going to be spelling?
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah, ours is a lot. So Senpai Kohai Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Senko Podcast, SENKOU Podcast. And really that's it. You can leave us something in our email at senpaikohaipodcast@gmail.com. And with that, Steven, tuck me in. We're going
Tuck
to bed.
you in.
Tuck me
All
in.
right. That's right. I'll get the quilt ready.
Thank
All right,
you.
guys. Have a great night. Thanks for showing up, Jarred. And we're looking forward to even more work together. All right.
Definitely. Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye.